Welcome to JP. Welcome to JP.
JP's to JP.
JP's. JP's. Welcome to JP's TV.
JP's TV, believe it or don't.
Don't forget to like, share.
Tune in to JPTV Believe It or Don't tonight, 9 p.m.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to JPTV Believe It or Don't. Amazing content over there.
Boom, man, what's happening, world? I'm glad everyone is tuning in. If you ain't in right now, I know you'll be tuning in later, Jack. All right, and we are back with another video, and I appreciate everyone coming through the JPTV Believe It or Don't. We got a special guest in the house. Just to let the people know who is the first time viewing this, because of course I want to share this live with my big brother. Okay, like I said, welcome to JPTV Believe It or Don't. For those who don't know about this platform is the purpose of this platform is to retrain the minds of the blacks, so I can show them what's going on, so they can make the proper adjustments to become a better person. So we take a look at the father, the mother, the child, the religion, the culture, the community, and give an honest perspective. And I want to really understand where we went wrong, because when I look up nowadays, I think that it's getting worse, and we need to really find out where the problem is. So hopefully this channel will give that information to that certain individual. May not change the world, but to that certain individual, to become a better individual and a higher person. Okay. With that being said, I have a special guest in the building, and basically coming from a Islamic background. And I am very grateful to have the brother in here. I've been watching his work on Instagram. The boy got some flow. Now I'm just trying to tell you, okay? The boy got some flow. I ain't gonna lie. You know, when I say something, I mean it. Damn right. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna get him started. Actually, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. And the viewers out there on my channel, y'all can get to know the individual yourself, okay? All right, and let's bring a special guest in. What's happening?
Peace, my brother. Peace. How you feeling?
I am feeling great, man. I'm feeling amazing. I'm glad that you was being patient with me, because the kids had sabotaged my keyboard. So I had to go all the way to Walmart. You know, anytime you go to Walmart, you know there's a line. I don't care what's going on. I went to the electronics. He said, oh, they took my cash drawer. I said, oh. I went to the pharmacy, and I seen they had the gate down. I said, damn, I can't go that way. So I went in line, and I waited. I'm looking around trying to find better options. And I see the self-checkout and say card only. I say, you know what? I'm going over there. So I went over there and bought it after asking them a whole bunch of questions if my keyboard was compatible as a Bluetooth. And I had a receiver to it, stuck it in, and it was amazing, man. Came back, and my man is back. All right. And I do have another a guy coming in later. I just want to ask some questions as well. And before I begin, I want to apologize in advance if I ask questions. My questions may sound so silly but simple, and I'm not too great in that area of Islam, so I want to ask questions, especially for myself and my viewers. So I apologize in advance that they may sound a little silly, because I don't know all about the religion, okay? So, for sure. So let the people know your name, and let the people know your name and how you came into the Islamic belief.
So my name is Brother Abdul. I know you might see 1 a.m. at the bottom of the screen. 1 a.m. or AM and 1 a.m. Stands for my initials, Abdul Muhammad, right? The 1 in 1 a.m. signifies that the only person that I'm in competition with is me, right? And like I said, AM stands for Abdul Muhammad, or the Asiatic black man that I am, which the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the original man was the Asiatic black man, right? The maker, the owner, the cream of the planet, God of the universe, right? So I was born Muslim. I didn't believe in anything, I was born Muslim. I was raised Christian, and for a while I didn't believe in anything. I was what you call a person that quote unquote practice African spirituality, which to me is just like a gulag of beliefs, or just a mixture, to where you don't have any boundaries on what you can actually delve into, but you also don't have any set rules or regulations as well. Until I hit rock bottom, and like I said, I was born Abdul Muhammad. I was born Muslim. I was raised Christian by my mother, and then I lost faith in all of that. And when I hit rock bottom, I just had this inclination, which I always had respect for Islam, but ironically, I didn't know much about Islam growing up, even though I had a Muslim name. But I just had this inclination spiritually, being around members of the Nation of Islam, being around Hebrew Israelites, growing up in the church, and going around the whole conscious community, and being quote unquote conscious. My mindset, I thought that the Nation of Islam had what other organizations and other groups had pieces of. What I saw about the Nation of Islam, which was ironic, is I believe that they had and have all of those pieces in one spectrum.
So that brings me to my next question about Islam and Muslim. What's the difference between the two, or is there a difference?
Well, Islam is the religion and also the nature in which human beings were created in. Muslim is what you become when you practice and accept your own and be yourself, right? So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. And it was the question, well, what is that? And he said, it is a righteous Muslim, because the black man and the black woman are righteous by nature. Muslim, or Salam, which is the root of Muslim, simply means peace. So when you hear Muslims say, Assalamu alaikum, that's peace be unto you, right? So Salam is the root of Muslim. And Islam means total submission. Total submission to what? To the will of God. And we believe that the nature of black people, particularly being the original people, the prototype of human beings, that naturally we are Muslims because our nature is to submit to God.
So right. So if I can get this correct, so far, when you speak about the righteousness in the blacks, right, and how are they losing the focus of that right now? How do we have to become Muslim to understand that we are righteous? Or
you can't become what you naturally are. You can only be reminded of who you are. And so in the Holy Quran, it says, this day I have perfected for you your religion, right? Which is the nature, the nature that you have been created in. right? So, and also in the Holy Quran, Allah creates man out of black sounding clay, right? Signifying that the original people are, look like us, right? Adam and Eve, or whoever you want to aspire to. We want to give them a name. The first people on this planet. We were designed to be in the image and in the likeness of God. The Bible also says this, right? And God is a just God. He's a God of righteousness. So it's impossible for us to be born into the nature and into the image and likeness of God and not physically carry out those attributes. We've been turned into, what we call each other, niggas, through the process of slavery and post-slavery. We're still living that mindset out, the mindset given to us by white America, which is really the mind of a white supremacist placed inside of a black body. So you don't have to become Muslim, or you don't have to ascribe to Islam to be in total submission to God, or to live a righteous life, right? You just have to accept your own and be yourself and stop acting other than who you really are.
I've noticed that in the Muslim community, not all, but most, will answer questions because, I'm really seeking to know and trying to get a better understanding. Why do most of them change their name to Muhammad?
I can't speak to people who have changed their name to Muhammad. I know that there was a Savior's Day. Let me first explain that there are different Islamic schools of thought, right? In the Nation of Islam, a lot of believers changed their last name to Muhammad because the minister allowed them to do it at a Savior's Day. They were holding, the same last attribute as Malcolm X. They had an X behind their name, right? So when the minister said, "Whoever is at this Savior's Day," it was in the 90s, can wear the name Muhammad. Many of them took on that last name. Now, Muhammad just means one who was praised much and praiseworthy, or one who's praiseworthy and praised much.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but is Muhammad like Jesus, basically? Like
you talking about Prophet Muhammad?
Yeah. He's basically like the Christians would say Jesus, in that sense of praising and worshiping and stuff like that, right?
But we don't praise or worship Muhammad.
Okay.
Right, and we don't believe that Muhammad is God or the son of God.
Okay. Do Muslims believe in Jesus as a person who actually existed?
Yes. But we don't believe that Jesus is God. We don't believe that you can divide God into three entities, and then the physical entity of God, Jesus, can be murdered. So it's just like Jesus was crucified. So in a sense, if he's God in the flesh, God would be symbolically murdered at that point. You know what I mean?
Okay. I do have another brother that wants to come in and ask you a question, man. Actually, but I want to bring him in at the right time. I do want to acknowledge him and say, I do see you, brother. And I'll definitely bring you in soon. I'll bring you in a grinder. We have a grinder session where you have to answer the questions quickly. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of fun. It's real dope. Okay, so I know that my father was a Muslim, you know, but he brought me around a couple of times to a couple of mosques and stuff like that. I've noticed that Louis Farrakhan get a lot of negative attention in the media. I know how the media can be sometimes, twisting stuff around. And I was with him until he started. He said some pretty good things. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that I couldn't understand, or maybe you can explain it, is when he called the white man the devil. And I wanted to get your perspective on that, if you think that, or do you agree with him by saying white people are the devil, and what is that supposed to mean to us?
So let me ask you a couple of questions because it's going to help you understand my answer.
I got you.
What does devilish mean?
It's evil intent or evil intent, I would say.
What does demonic mean?
Not knowing the definition of me just going by what I think it could mean. It could mean something entering you as far in altering your decision making.
So,
or in a demonic state or something like that,
So bringing what some scholars say up, almost 100 million blacks onto ships over the course of hundreds of years, and many of those slaves dying. Some say 8 out of 10, some say 9 out of 10 dying on the transatlantic slave trade. Isn't that devilish and demonic?
Very much. I would say yes. Yeah.
Isn't murdering 95 to 98% of Native Americans devilish and demonic?
You said 95% of them?
I mean, when was the last time you saw a Native American outside of the reservation?
And the answer is, here's the last time you saw a Native American outside the reservation. So I'm sitting here. I was just saying, the question was, when's the last time you saw a Native American outside the reservation? Well, I'm an 8th Cree, and I am far outside of any reservation that I know of. In fact, I can't remember ever being on a reservation. So, and to your earlier question, for me, I look, slavery is abhorrent. It's awful. It is a piece of our history that's terrible. The thing is, by saying that the white man, quote unquote, is the devil,
we didn't even get to that point yet. We didn't get to the point yet. So my question is real simple, and it just requires a yes or no answer. That isn't it devilish and demonic, right? That to kill almost 100 million Africans on the transatlantic slave trade. Not even talking about what happened when we got here, right? But is that devilish or demonic?
To me, it's demonic to kill anybody.
Okay.
That's the thing about words. They can have an emotional attachment to it. But if we can really see that it's a battle between good and evil, then we'll know how to deal with it. When you give it a term, that can also divide and fill you up with anger. So when the anger comes, that's when we make those type of rational decisions if we can't think clearly. That's what I would say to that.
So let me. Instead of me giving you a couple more analogies on the devilishment of European Anglo-Saxon behavior, whether it was in America, whether it was in South America, whether it was in Asia, or whether it was in Australia or New Zealand, right? The reason for me saying that is because if we can describe the characteristics of people as devilish, that gets a point to where, okay, when your evil extremely outweighs your good, then you become more like what is described in all of the religious texts, right, as a devil, because you're so far away from the activity of God, of life, of good, of righteousness, right? That now, if somebody calls you a devil, he has to describe your behavior in this manner if he sees you burning crosses in his yard, if he sees you lynching thousands of black people, if he sees the towns in the small cities that black people were forced to live in, or the small sections of cities that black people were forced to live in, we had self-sustaining communities begin to get burned down, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, or marginalized or usurped and taken over, and the wealth sucked out of it. And then 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, it's like, well, you got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Well, every time I get a pair of boots, you take them off my feet. So it's like this surprise that somebody would describe your behavior as devilish and then describe you as a devil. But I'm going to tell you one thing, right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that anything grafted from the original is devil. The black man is the original man. And when we walk around calling ourselves niggas, when we walk around killing each other in our neighborhoods, doing the same work that the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, did to us, right? After, quote unquote, reconstruction of this nation after the Civil War, right? We have turned into black white supremacists. But how? When and where was that mind implanted into us? And how is it a scapegoat for white America's disdain and dislike for us, which is deep rooted, which is the same reason why there are no solutions? Is because we have become the same devil, the same finger that we pointed at white America and said that the white man is the devil. There are also black devils, but they are other than themselves. This is not our nature. This is why black people have taken hell and have sustained everybody in this nation except for our own selves. Everybody can come to the black community and get a bag and make money. And we welcome you. We invite you. We love you. You can do whatever you want to black people, and we still forgive you. But we don't forgive ourselves. So if we're being honest about white history, did anybody from the outside, if an alien came here and said, oh, this is the word for demonic, devilish, and devil, and does anybody fit this characteristics? They would have to say that people from the poorest continent, which is Europe, that now has majority of the world's wealth, right, has to be devilish, demonic, in a group of devils. Not all white people, but it's seemingly nobody is fighting against the legacy that has given white people the advantage over the world. Because wealth is created by natural resources. And you let me know one natural resource. Matter of fact, there's one natural resource that Europe itself leads the world in the exportation and sale to other nations of, and that's natural gas from the Mongolian side of Russia. Not even the pure European side, the Mongolian side of Russia, because you got to remember Russia is half Asian and half European, right? So if you only have one export that you lead the world in exporting, right? Most of your wealth comes from the colonization and the continued colonization through controlling governments of third world countries. So I'm confused at why that point is so hard to actually understand.
So for me, a couple things. So as a matter of reference, I know all too well about Black Wall Street. I'm actually currently living and have my entire life in a suburb of Tulsa. So that's where I'm calling from right now. And yes, it was a tragedy and a disgusting event in our history. The problem I have is with adjectives that overgeneralize things like demonic, because that is grouping people based on skin color into subsets of groups that fit a box that you want them to fit into. Well, you look at me and you see white guy, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes. What you don't know is I'm an 8th degree Indian, and if I didn't tell you that, right? So, I have a really hard time accepting who I am as stated by somebody else based on one attribute of my person. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Content of character, not color of skin." I have no desire, I have no family members who have ever owned slaves.
And look what happened to him.
I get it, but the question is, do we continue fighting each other? Or at what point do we not say, to hell with all these people that are trying to keep...
Black people are not fighting white people. White people are fighting black people.
But black people are also fighting black people. You just said it. We hear about it every weekend.
So that's our own personal internal conflicts that really have nothing to do with you. You may see it, you may see it, but it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the differences or the problems that me and you have.
Let me ask you a question. Why does it have to be me and you? Why can't it be, or me versus you? Why can't it be me and you telling the media to stop making us enemies, telling government to stop making us enemies, telling all the people that want us to fight each other so they can profit to stop?
I don't want to fight you.
I know.
So
what we're told to do, and so that's what we do.
But that's a conversation for somebody else, right? Because I'm not here. I didn't even come into this interview thinking that I would even have a conversation with you. I thought I was having a conversation with him, right? So I kind of got blindsided, from this. But let me say this, right? Black people's number one enemy today is black people. However, we still have a system and a government, right, that has set games into play, war games, silent war games into play against black people and now against this whole nation collectively, right? But since, just like you said, why can't we go on television and speak about the injustices that affect all of us, right? But let me let you know something. The reason why these injustices are going to visit everybody's door in this nation is because they learned and perfected their methods of oppression against black people, and white people and other racial demographics sat on the sideline silent. Matter of fact, for years you said that black people were tripping, that black people had an unrealistic a view of reality in the American society. And then we started to see all these cell phone videos of black men getting their damn heads blown off, and white women calling the police on black people, saying that black people did things to them that they didn't do. And because the fact that we had cameras, now we know that they were lying. But Emmett Till didn't get that technology was not around when Emmett Till was here, right? So we live in a society where people want us to fight collectively, but nobody came to our aid. So it's over. That ideal that we're going to fight collectively, any intelligent black person should want, that understands this scenario, is what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted, that could have solved the black and white problem, was to give us a separate state of territory of our own. So that since we can't get along with each other, we can't get equal rights, we can't get the police off of our neck, we can't get a real education. Even if we go to Harvard or Yale, it's still full of lies. And it's still an education that teaches us how to work for white supremacy and to sustain it. And to be the first Negro, the first black person to do this or do that, when it's a joke. As if black people didn't have greater civilizations than America thousands of years before America even existed, that we see the remnants of today. So the only solution to our problem, you don't tell a man and a woman who can't get along, the man keeps whooping the woman's ass. You don't tell a woman to work it out with the man. You say, it's probably time that y'all get a divorce, or it's probably going to kill you. But yet you want us to endure hundreds of years of atrocities, of terrorism. And then one day white people will find it in their hearts to slowly but surely stop treating us like subhuman beings. And then 100 to 200 years from down the line, you'll actually get it together. That's a fairy tale.
Let me butt in, and I didn't mean to bring him in, because I want to also tell you that the platform is also used for whites to ask blacks what they never can ask. You know what I'm saying? Without anger towards it. You know what I'm saying? It kind of opens up another door on this platform. So I apologize about that. I wanted to ask you, why do black people always go back in time to bring stuff up in the past, as if, and they hold on to it, saying, oh, one day it shall come? Why do we go back in the past to, because if you really think about it, we can't change nothing back in the past. We can't go back and fix anything. We can't go and fix nothing in the future. But what we can fix are the moments right now. We can fix the moments right now, and that's life right there. The moments are in life. So the past technically doesn't exist. You can learn from it, but you don't want to let that fill you up with anger and days and time. I can understand what happened 100 years ago. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. People acting evil, and they wrote evil laws, and mostly by the Democratic Party, and a lot of blacks are with the Democratic Party, and they don't really know that the destruction that they're already willing to do, and not giving out that information about that party, or know any information about that party, so they just go along with it because they have the superstars and stuff like that. And that's destroying the communities, because those elected officials don't care about the community. They just care about the money and themselves. So I want to ask you, do you think blacks are suffering from racism or a lack of moral character?
But the current condition that black people in America are in is based upon social engineering. See, when somebody has total and complete control over every aspect of your life, they have the ability to guide you in any direction that they see fit, right? When somebody controls the economics of your neighborhood, when somebody controls the politics, the nonprofit programs, the businesses that you have to go and work at, they control the public school system, they control the police department, they control the fire department, they control the banks, they control the liquor stores, they control the convenience stores, they control the supermarkets. What you're looking at is a colony. You're not looking at a neighborhood. You're not looking at a group of people who are politically and socially empowered. You're not looking at the same thing that you think you're looking at when you look at the Asian community, when you look at the white community, and then subsets of the white community, whether it's the Italian community, the Irish community, the Jewish community, the Polish community. And you can go into almost every city, you can find a little Italy, a Chinatown, an area where Jewish people have a stronghold, right? And when you go into those areas, they control the power centers of their communities. So when I say that racism plays a part in our situation, I mean from that perspective. Our neighborhoods are not controlled by black people, and even those black people who are in positions of so-called authority are controlled by the people who truly pull the strings, because we know that all politicians have to answer to the people that fund their campaign. So this is the same thing whether it's a white politician over a white demographic, or whether it's a black politician over a black demographic. They're all controlled by somebody in the background that pulls their strings, that funds their campaigns, and that has an overall mission to where they want things to go. So that's the outside responsibility. The inside responsibility is on us, because none of these people have a vested interest in seeing us become anything different than what we are. And we have to understand that. And we have to get ourselves out of the condition that we're in. Now, when we talk about morals, we have adopted morals that are not our own, but we adopted them. So it's our fault for adopting them, and it's our responsibility to change the narrative by any means necessary. Because men, go ahead. I go on tangent, so you got to stop.
Right. When you say adopted, right? Because I had this conversation with another guy. He wasn't a Muslim, but it seems like we keep blaming the white man. It's like, oh, they did this, they did that, so we ain't got this, so we ain't got that. But when I look at people like Master P, right? He got his own ice cream out. I seen his son just signed a $2 million deal with some IT company. You know what I'm saying? So when you say like it's no hope, and it's no hope for black people in so many words.
I never said that.
Well, you said it's no solution.
I never said that either.
Okay. All right. Well, do you think it's a solution for black people?
I already said it. The best and the only solution is separation in a state of territory of our own, just like Israel, just like Jewish people who were persecuted during World War II.
See, there you go. Keep going back again. But no, look.
So let me say this, right? Because to say that history doesn't play a part into where we are today is foolish, because there's always a chain of events that lead to a certain set of circumstances, right? So you might not want to look back. You may feel as though looking back leads to excuses. I don't. My motto is excuses are useless and truthless. But there's a reason for why we are here where we at, and there's another. And there are other reasons or other ways or means that would get us out of the situation that we're in. A person that does not know their history is damned to repeat it. So when you see signs of things occurring that occurred yesterday, right, and then you don't say, well, damn, I saw this before, so I know the outcome to this. It's just like there's never been there's never been a good government that forced people to walk around with papers to either prove their race or their quote unquote vaccine status or whatever, and it has forced inoculated people or tried to manipulate people into taking something that they know for damn sure is not good for them. So if you don't know about the Nuremberg trials, if you don't know about what happened in Nazi Germany, you could see the same scenario playing out and say, well, damn, I have to trust my government. But this has happened before. It's just like in the stock market. If you trade in stocks and you've seen scenarios that have occurred inside of the economy in the past, and you can say, well, damn, all right, well, past performance is not indicative of future results. But I know that if I see a certain level of confluence, because I also trade stocks, right? If I see a certain level of confluence, and I can say that more than likely this scenario is beginning to repeat itself from 2008 in 2021. So when certain people look back in the past, hell yeah, they are using excuses.
Okay.
To say that this is the reason why I'm in this situation today and I can't do nothing for myself. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying at all. Because I'm not looking for no magic white man to wave a magic wand and to say, oh, everything is better. Here's a check. Your life is gonna. No, it's on me. It's on us. But history, the best research that rewards the researcher is the research of history.
Let me go ahead, and because you're about to get in the hot seat. Okay, we're gonna take this little break right here. Before we get into that, right, I want to ask you one question. Right, I want to bring this up to you. Are you aware that we have over 6,000 thoughts a day, right? So 6,200 thoughts per day, right? And
I'm aware of it.
And do you know that according to the National Science Foundation, around 80% of our thoughts are negative? Mm-hmm. So when I asked about teaching and stuff like that, who was Elijah Muhammad's teacher?
Master Farad Muhammad.
And who was his teacher?
Life.
Should we trust someone's thoughts?
Being the average human being has 6,200 thoughts, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. Now we're talking about average individuals who do not have control over their mind, their spirit, and their soul. So what an individual produces in their life, what they lack to produce, can show you what is on their mind. You show me the results in a man's life, and I will show you his mind. I can show you all of his neurons and all of his synaptic connections. 1, by his conversation. 2, by what he produces. 3, by his family. And 4, by what people who don't have anything to gain that are on the sideline and have a neutral, a judgment of him have to say about him. People who are not biased, I mean.
Okay. You coming through.
I've studied the mind, Chief. And I'm gonna tell you something about the mind, right? You have a bundle of nerves on the top of your brainstem, on top of the pons, right? Called the reticular activating system, right? And whatever you believe is important, it makes you aware of. Have you ever bought a car and then you really didn't care about that car, but after you bought that car, that truck, that SUV, whatever it was, right? You started to notice that car everywhere you went.
Right. You see it everywhere.
Right? Have you ever heard people talking about a team that you don't give a damn about? You're not interested in the conversation. The minute the team, football, basketball, baseball team that you care about is actually mentioned, now you want to hop in a conversation. You don't even know these people. You're hopping in the conversation because your reticular activating system, right? You have about 1,000 bits of information that is all around you that your brain is processing. I believe it's every minute, but your brain only allows you to really focus on a very small amount of that information, and it uses your reticular activating system to filter it and then to only make you aware of what's important to you in your life. Now, when you have a society that's basically drowned out with negativity, you're not good enough, whether you're black, you're white, whatever you are. And this is especially for women. And this is why women do a lot of retail therapy, right? Because this society shits on the image of women and makes them feel that they need to look perfect, and perfection, in a physical form does not exist. Right? So they spend money on cosmetics, they spend money on clothes, on bags, on shoes that hurt their damn feet, on squeezing into tight ass jeans that they can barely get into, right? Into getting butt injections and boob jobs and lip jobs or whatever the hell they're doing. Right? And men spend all that time killing themselves trying to get money, you know what I mean, to appease the vanity that has been artificially inseminated into women. All to gratify and glorify and fatten the pockets of corporations. You feel me? So how did we get to a point to where the majority of the thoughts that we have inside of our beautiful mind become negative? Is because we've been trained to be negative.
Well, let me stop you right there, King. We've been trained to be negative, but from whom? If I would say race hustlers, I would say because
race hustlers have taught women to be negative.
Probably the
race hustlers have made men feel insecure if they don't make a certain amount of money.
No, but they filled them up with anger to have the majority blame the white man for something. So that's what the race hustlers did.
Yeah, but everybody's not white. Everybody's not white, especially in this country. Majority of the people here are not white. So when you talk about 6,200 thoughts and 80% of them being negative, you can't focus on a small racial demographic, 13% of the population, and just say that, oh well, everybody's thought process is based upon some race hustlers telling them one thing. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that black people are extremely negative and it's based upon race hustlers. But what about the ignorant dude that don't want to hear the shit that I got to say? I don't want to hear nothing positive. I don't want to hear anything about why they're in the position that they're in. That has nothing to do with race hustlers. That has something to do with them being indoctrinated in a culture of gangsterism by the people around them that have been socially engineered to live that life. Because you got to remember the Iran-Contra scandal, right? The Iran-Contra scandal when Reagan couldn't fund the war on communism, when everybody talks about Democrats and all that shit, but Republicans, they ain't ish either.
True.
So this whole government is nothing.
But the only one was white was the Great White Hope. You know who the Great White?
Oh, Trump. Donald
J. Trump. Come on now. So don't tell me you hate Trump too. Trump did a lot of things.
I don't hate Trump. I think Trump is a very calculated individual, right? I think he's more intelligent than he actually sounds at times, and I think that he was using a group of white people, right, to gain their votes, just like Obama was used to gain the votes of black people that didn't normally vote. He was used to gain. He used a certain demographic of whites that had lost faith in the electoral process, that didn't feel like they had a voice, right? So I'm not a dude that hates Trump. I actually think that this whole almost feeling of vaccines being forced on us, right, wouldn't even be in play right now if Trump was still in office. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I believe that he was the answer. I don't believe any politician is the answer.
True.
And on let me say this, on a certain level, the gentleman that spoke earlier, on a certain level, he was correct. We do have to come together, but black people can't come together with nobody truly until we come together with ourselves.
I can agree.
And we don't need people coming to a divided people telling us we need to organize and strategize with other people. We got a lot of internal work to do before we can organize and strategize from a proper way. You know, anyway.
From the internal destruction, from what I've gathered amongst my research, is the children that are born out of wedlock and the fathers are forced out of the house. You know, it happened during like the civil rights movement, where all the race hustlers, Jesse Jackson and all them people came out, house shopping and like that. And as you can see, we're in a leader.
Yeah, but Jesse Jackson, even though I'm not a fan of Jesse Jackson spoke out against welfare. Jesse Jackson said you shouldn't give black people welfare because during that whole push of welfare, what happened? They said that you cannot have a man inside of the house in order to get this assistance. So women would hide the fact that they had a man. When the welfare worker came around to inspect the house, they would kick him out. And then some women would just decided to not have a man, to not get married. So you're talking about black people during segregation, during Jim Crow era, had the highest rates of marriage in America.
Right.
So going back to what I said before, right? Black people are a controlled entity. So whenever we make moves to gain power, we run up against this wall of friction. Just like Ice Cube ran up against a wall of friction when he was trying to buy those sports stations from Disney, right? Just like you got old shit coming up against Bill Cosby 20, 30 years later, right? When he tried to buy NBC or ABC. So whenever we try to make these type of moves, see, business is warfare, right? And nobody wants to talk about the fact that Black Americans hold up the gross domestic product in this country. You talking so the gross domestic product is 60 to 70% the spending from citizens. It's about another 30 to 40% spending from the government, right? So when they say we're having a recession, that means that the citizens of this nation spent less for 2 quarters, right? So black people constitute, we make the least amount of money, but we spend the most.
Right.
This is why you see a lot of commercials catering to black people, using black music, right? In order to push their products. Everybody else understands the law of saving and investing and buying homes. That they stick a lot of their wealth into assets. Well, not even assets, but homes and into saving and the pensions and 401ks, right? But the black community historically has been known to spin to prove is to falsely try to prove its worth to the society, right? So since we make the least amount of money and we spend the most, they understand that if we take an independent step, that we don't need the government to give us reparations. We don't, even though we deserve it, we don't need, anything from anybody. We could spend ourselves out of the economic condition and the impoverished condition that we're in if we spend money with each other, or if the things that we consume begin to be owned by people that look like us. Because everybody creates institutions and businesses that ultimately employ people that look like them. It's natural for people to have a bias when they create something towards helping people that look like them. It's self-sustaining. Why would you sustain other people before you sustain yourself? And once you go outside of your family, then you start to go into your community. And most of the time, people live in communities with people that live that look and live like them. Live meaning economically, right? A person that's making $200,000-$300,000 is not living in the ghetto, or is not living in a trailer park normally, right? And then they normally don't, they wouldn't, a white guy making $500,000 wouldn't pick a black upper class a black upper class neighborhood to actually live in majority of the time. There's always going to be anomalies, and vice versa. But black people normally, since our identity is controlled by the power structure of white America, not guys like this individual that we have on this show with us, right? We go to seek favor with them. So a lot of us, instead of us staying in our communities or going to or trying to find a middle class or upper class black neighborhood, we go and we live amongst them. So they know that if they allow us to take these independent steps without giving us friction, this is a war. And one thing, I'm not gonna say people like you, but one thing sometimes people who have this thought process of, well, you're making this excuse that, white people is the problem. Yeah, all right. So you're right. We have to make independent steps. We have to leave the excuses alone. But we cannot act as if the power structure will allow us to gain power without either shedding blood or without either running up against friction and fighting against it to get it. Because power is not given. Power is not allowed unless you take it.
Now
take power.
Now name one thing that if they say, okay, black people, we're going to give y'all this, and name that one thing that we need that will help us change. And will it change our character? Because you're saying, it sounded like you're saying that we need something to change within. So what is that something that we need, whether it's land, economic boost, reparations? What is it that the blacks need to say, okay, we can do this together? And will it change the character?
This is something that we don't need to do together. But if they gave us control over the criminal in jail population of our race, for us to rehabilitate them, right? Because many of these men are scarred, broken, and are miseducated, right? And if they can get the same thing that many of the men of the Nation of Islam who have gotten, right, the truth and the knowledge of self, then they can turn around their lives, and then they can help turn around their neighborhoods. Because we need warriors. We don't need weak men, right? With reparations in their pockets to change our communities. The only thing that will change our communities is the men actually putting in the work. And that's why I say, give us, the Nation of Islam, right, the ability to rehabilitate the incarcerated male and female population in our racial demographic, right? So that we can reform them and send them on their way to reform our neighborhoods, because we have a track record of doing it. That's where Malcolm X came from, and that's what many men that you don't know their names, that are former drug dealers, killers, and adversaries to each other. Because in the ranks in Los Angeles, California, we got Bloods and Crips that before they joined the nation, they were sworn enemies, and it was on site with them. If they saw each other in the wrong scenario, they were going to attempt to kill each other. So nobody has the ability, not the church, not the masjid, not the synagogue, not the nonprofit program. None of them have the ability to reform the lowest level of our communities, but the Nation of Islam.
See, if I think that we should retrain the women, because if you look at it, see, the women are raising weak men, but then there's no man in the house to control the women's ego. So when you look at the status, and it says 75% of the African American families are a single parent, and we're in the lead of that as well. Hispanics 38, whites 20, and but we're only 13%, and the single headed, and we're headed by the single parent household. So when you say that we need to, they need to be in, reform, or something like that, I think it's the family structure. I think it's the destruction of the family, that you have these men going out and listening and thinking that they need a leader because they don't have that within. They have their mother's identity. See, when the father is not there, the mother is there. So the young child, the daughter or the son will have that mother's identity. And that mother's identity, with no guidance from a man, you have that anger. And that's why a lot of people resent their father and stuff like that, because the mother then turned them away and stuff like that. And that's happening a lot in the Black community. So I think it's the destruction of the family that we need to really educate and be on, and not so go back 100,000 years like that, because that hasn't been working. But what will work, if we pinpoint where it's really coming from, and as we see the numbers, 75%, but we're 13%, so that's way out of order. You know what I'm saying? So what I would suggest, and this is what Louis Farrakhan, and some other quote unquote leaders of the Black, which I don't know why Black people need leaders anyway, but it seems like they do. He doesn't explain about family. They express the Black family. So what that does, because I have an Asian woman, right? And when you hear that, we do this for the Black family, because the Black family is the superior. So when other Blacks hear that, it's kind of like,
he's never said that we were superior. You put words in his mouth. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You saying that we're superior?
No, I said he's never said that. That's you putting words in his mouth on that one. Okay. So
I mean, maybe I got it wrong, but that's what I was getting from him, and maybe I'm mixing them up with other leaders. I know Dr. Umar, he always talk about they got to be Black, and that's crazy how these so-called
So let
leaders
me since you falsely depicted his perspective on that, let me just say this: the minister's son, I believe his name is Brother Joshua.
Oh yeah, has a wife.
Son's married to his son is married to a white woman. His perspective is this, because you hit it dead on the nail's head, you know, when you talk about the woman, right? Now, Muslim Elijah Muhammad said that 75% of his teachings were for the woman, because if you teach a man, you teach an individual, but if you teach a woman, you teach a nation. So in that understanding, he said that love has no borders or boundaries, right?
Okay.
So right, so you can't put a color on love. But black men should seek first, right, to try to find love with the black woman, because she's been the most disrespected, unprotected, the most violated, the most shitted on by society, and she's stuck by our side. But if you happen to fall in love with an Asian woman, which there are Asian members of the Nation of Islam, by the way, right, who are married to black men, right? Just to let you know that, right? And nobody is saying in the Nation of Islam that there's something wrong with that. No, nobody is defaming them, right? So we just understand, right, that at the end of the day, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And the foundation of any nation is its family. If you destroy the family structure, this is why homosexuality, when it becomes begins to run rampant, can be destructive for any society, because it becomes difficult to replace the aging and dying population, right? And in order to be dominant, you need to replace, right, the population that's going out with the population that's coming in. So if there aren't enough black families, right, or whole black families, then we have what we see today. We are the example of what it means, or what happens to any nation or group of people who, you know, where the family structure is destroyed. And why family is so important.
That's the foundation. That's where you get your morals and values from. And you should lead out with that into the world. Let me give you the so you're about to get into the hot seat. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So don't tell anybody. It's Jimmy. Our sex life sucks.
Really? You? I went to Chulanka's shop. I think I have something for you. Let me go get it. She gave me a couple of these.
Mojo? What's that?
Trust me, he'll get his mojo back in just one pack. Mojo back in just one pack.
Alright, girl. I'm gonna try this Asia.
Okay.
Mojo. Hey man, if you're moving slow and don't know where to go, please DM me for some mojo. Yes, it'll keep you right where you need to be, keep you large and in charge. And I bet you she'll start coming back for more. You won't even have to charge. Okay, so you're about to get in the hot seat, buddy. Okay. Are you ready? Now, these questions have to be answered. You can't really, have a long time to oh, my bad. Damn, my bad. Came back in there. Shit, I didn't click them off. Anyway, you can't be too long-winded with the answers, okay? All right, y'all ready? Okay, this is for you, Hunter. I'm gonna let you close out with something. But before we do that, I'm gonna put them in the grinder.
What's up, bro?
All right. First question: would you prefer communism or capitalism?
Would I prefer who?
Communism or capitalism?
Capitalism.
Does white privilege exist?
Of course it does.
Do you wish you had some of it?
No.
Are you born homosexual or you could become one?
You become it.
What is a man?
A man is an individual who handles his responsibility no matter what, no excuses, and that takes care of his family.
That could be a woman. That could be a woman.
Women are not facts.
Okay, moving along. Is it fair to kill white people?
Depending on what they've done.
Okay. Do you love black people?
Of course I do. I love black people.
Do you love white people?
No.
Okay. Are whites automatically superior to blacks?
It's a ridiculous question. Hell no.
Should women become he said no too. Shut up. Should women become ministers or pastors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. If you had some work on the house, right? And you know, based on what you've seen, what you've been through, you probably got different connections than I do. But if you had a house to build, would you hire a black or a white?
I would try my best to hire somebody that was black, that was qualified and could do the job properly.
Now, based on because based on my track record, every time I hire a black, it's something that always goes wrong. But when I hire a white, job done. But anyway, okay. How do you spell shop?
You said shop? SHOP.
What you do when you get that green light?
You go.
Nah, you waited too long, man. You waited too long. You know exactly what you was about to say too, because you had to think about that. You had to think about that, motherfucker, right?
What was I going to say?
You tell me.
You can read my mind. What was I going to say?
You say. hey, Hunter. Hey, what was he going to say?
He was gonna say stop.
Damn right he was.
Oh, I needed that.
I did actually think about it. You know what I'm saying at first. Yeah.
Hey man, that was great. I'm glad we could end it like this. Basically, this platform, man, is to reach a different thing. It's something that I feel that can be done, and it's a battle between good and evil. There are good whites, good blacks, evil whites. Me, I wouldn't hold them all accountable, and collectively, just whoever surround me, because shit, it'd be black people that be out to get me too. There was just a 6-year-old killed in Washington D.C., which I live, and nothing is taken seriously. But when a white person does something, or the community is in an uproar, So it's the character that, like you were saying, about ourselves. You know, we need to get ourselves together. And I believe the family structure is where we create that foundation. We create that foundation of having that father in the house that's going to explain the moral and values to the kid. Like I'm about to get mine straight in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the destruction of the family in the Black community, man, is really need to be discussed. Always need to be discussed because we don't really stick to that. We stick to stuff that happens way out of our control. But what we can control is the structure of the family, and that takes two, from the woman and the man. Before we get out of here, Hunter, thanks for coming through, man. If you'd like to say anything before we leave, I would like to let if you have your closing, then I'll let the brother have his closing as well.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, we didn't agree on a whole lot today, but we were able to have a civil discussion. But I do think we all agree on the same thing. I think all three of us find it very important that in any family, there needs to be a mother and a father because both bring different sets of qualities to help rear a child. And I think that the lack of one or the other, mother or father, rearing children is a huge detriment to not only that family but to society in general. And I think if we can address that as individual men in our own circles of men we know, and help build those men up, whether it's through 1AM, through the Nation of Islam, for me, believing that I was born a sinner and through Jesus Christ, right? No matter the difference, at the end of the day, what are we doing to help build our people up and our communities up to help them get better? Because without both the man and the woman, I think we're doomed. And I think that's what, I mean, to me, man, guys, I really don't care what race somebody is. I think half of America's freaking crazy. You know, I mean, I think half of us are nuts. I don't leave home without a firearm because I think half of us are nuts. You know, I didn't used to be that way. So, you know, I think we need to focus more on us as individuals rather than groups of people and labels and these types of things. And I think as individuals, we have the ability to bring others around us up, make others better, help others see light instead of dark, bring others out of the hole and into the ground. And so that's kind of where I'm at. But it was nice talking with you, man.
That's cool.
Yes, sir, my friend. It was nice talking to you as well.
Okay, brother, I will let you do closing remarks from you, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. You dropped some hell of a bomb in there, man. I'd like to go ahead and take over. That'd be cool.
Well, you know, I just want to say that I'm humbled for this opportunity to address your audience. I thank you for allowing me to be on here. I thank Hunter for being on here and expressing his opinions, and his viewpoints. I'll just say this, right? America is at a pivotal point. In any nation birthed off of I know I'm going in the past and you don't like this, but I'm gonna go into the past because karma is real and karma is a bitch, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The karma and the physics of the world's greatest crime, of the enslavement of Black people in America and the murder of 95 to 98% of the natives who were here. That karma was never felt by this nation. The mathematical equation or the physics of what goes around comes around, and every equal action has an opposite and equal reaction has never come around to America. It is here. And if America wants to continue to be a nation, or if America wants to be like Rome, like Greece, like Egypt, and like many other great nations that have fallen, because of their treatment to their people and the treatment of their bottom class of people as well. Then America will fall, and America's on the verge of falling, because there are many people in this nation, like that gentleman just said, Hunter, that are crazy and out of their goddamn minds, that are highly armed. But also understand that this government is crazy itself, and their perspective is they will not allow this government to quote unquote tread on them, like that flag says behind Hunter, right? So we are at an impasse right now, if we want to use military language. And this impasse seems peaceful, but we all know that something is brewing in this country. And it's bigger than these vaccines. It's bigger than vaccine passports. It's been brewing for a very, 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 very long time. And it's coming to fruition. It's up to us whether or not we avoid the karma or whether we live in the midst of that karma where much innocence will suffer, because like the Bible says, I'm gonna end on this. The sins of the father shall visit the sons. So even though you weren't there, you didn't do it, you didn't slave black people, you didn't kill Native Americans, but you still live in a country that was birthed and born and conceived, right, in the incubator of hate, of injustice. And now it's brewing over. And now it's coming to a head. So I just want to close on that note. And like I said, thank you for allowing me to be on. I'm humbled. Appreciate you. Salam, peace.
Okay, guys, thank you for everyone coming out to JPTV. Believe it or don't, Hunter, stay with us. I'm gonna hit you in the background. I do have some head over the vaccines. Yeah, we are anti-vaccinated group over here. Okay, fuck the vaccines. Okay, I went to the doctor the other day. He's gonna ask me all these questions about the vaccine. I don't fucking with this shit. Well, I got mine, but that's good for you. Cause I ain't getting it. Okay. Anyway, thanks for everyone coming past, enjoying the show today. Hunter, stay with us. We got some things for you.
That's why I'm coming every week, man. It's worth it. It's all worth it.
Tune in to JPTV Believe It or Don't tonight, 9 p.m.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to JPTV Believe